First of all, congratulations on the news this morning. Can you just, explain the process of why you signed for Perth and departed the Phoenix and how that all played out?
Yeah, look, obviously it was a time for me to be selfish and a time to do what was best for myself. And I still have very high ambitions for what I want to achieve in football, and I felt like that was the best way to continue my progress and my evolution.
Might sound a bit obvious, but was there talk about staying at the Phoenix? I guess they would try to keep you as much as possible.
Yeah, there was. Absolutely there was. There was very in-depth discussions, and I'm pretty sure Sean's confirmed to the media that they put an offer in front of me, and we had some really positive discussions, but ultimately I chose to go down another path, and there's no bad blood between anyone here. It's a decision that I didn't take lightly, and I've been at this football club a long time, so I'm looking forward to a change.
Were there multiple options that you were deciding, not from the Phoenix but Perth and other clubs, and what was it about Perth that got you signed to them?
Yeah, there were discussions with other A-League clubs as well, and as I'm sure you guys are aware, in the A-League, when another team approaches another player, the club that they're at has to be informed, regardless of whether I'm coming off contract or not. So the Phoenix were well aware that there was other interest throughout the A-League and elsewhere as well. So yeah, it's one of those things where I did what was best for me ultimately.
Just with the time left that you have here, it probably is obvious again, but what do you want to achieve here, and what do you want to get out of the rest of the season? Yeah,
look, we've put ourselves in a fantastic position. We haven't been at our best throughout the whole season, but I think if you step back and look at the competition and the way it goes, it's very tightly contested, and probably more so than usual. You never feel like there's an easy game in the A-League, and you look around the competition there, and that's certainly not the case this year. So there's so much for us to achieve. It's there in front of us. I guess you could say our destiny is in our own hands, because if we continue to pick up points and continue to play well, then we're going to finish right up the top. So that's the aim. I'd love to leave here on a massive high with some silverware, and that's what I'm looking to achieve. I feel like I'm playing well at the right time of year, and I hope I can continue to do that and push us higher up the ladder.
Was it? I'm sure you've made a lot of good connections, mates at this club. Was it a bit difficult telling them that you were heading off? Yeah,
of course. Like I said earlier, I've spent a large chunk of my life here, so leaving was never going to be easy. And leaving these boys behind, leaving the football club behind, is a decision that I didn't take lightly, and it was a decision that it took a long time to reach. Myself, my partner, my family and friends, we discussed lots of things over, and ultimately, like I said before, I did what was best for me.
Oli, what do you say to the fans who, I guess, aren't completely happy about the news? Some even saying that you should play another minute for the Phoenix. What do you say to them, and how focused are you, I guess, on the rest of the season?
I understand that point of view. In the footballing world, that happens when players move on and their commitments are. You commit elsewhere, then you run that risk. But at the end of the day, the boss is going to pick the team that he thinks is going to do the job that week. He's always said that it's a week-to-week basis. He picks a team on who he thinks is going to get the job done on the day. So I just have to keep putting my best foot forward and hope that I'm the man to do the job. And I believe I am. And like I said, I want to carry us higher up the ladder and to achieve silverware and higher honours this season. So yeah, I'm putting my hand up for selection every week, regardless of what people say about that. But yeah, look, that's the nature of when things like this get announced before the end of the season. There's always going to be people to say that, and I completely understand that, and I sympathise with their view. So I hope that if Wolfie picks me, that I can perform well enough that they feel like I've justified the selection.
Oli, just in terms of the Phoenix, coming out last week and announcing you and the other guys, and Perth's obviously come out yesterday and announced that. Was that a Phoenix call? Was that your call? How do you feel that this is all sort of announced and locked in, rather than just being reports until the end of the season? Yeah, look,
I had no issue with however anyone wanted to approach it. Both clubs were in discussions about how they were going to do it. Obviously, the A-League's quite small, and word spreads quite easily, so the rumour mill was starting to churn. I guess the Phoenix felt that it was probably the right thing to get out in front of it once those rumours started dripping through. So I don't have an issue with it. It was fine. Obviously, it was the day before a game, and I felt like myself and the other players that were involved in that announcement went out there and still performed anyway. So it's certainly not a distraction for us, because we're professionals at the end of the day, and we've got to go and do our jobs.
in the last off-season, how close did you come to sort of signing somewhere in Europe, and in sort of what ways? Was it trials? Was it not getting the right offer, not finding the right environment? What sort of
look, I can't disclose everything. That's not for me to say. But yeah, look, I think I said it yesterday, I think if people did a bit of digging, which Michael did last season, it would have been quite easy to work out that I never came back to New Zealand during the off-season. I was 4 weeks late to pre-season. So I said throughout the year I wasn't quiet about it. I was honest and open, and I said, look, there is interest overseas, and that was what I wanted to achieve, and that's what we tried to pursue. And yeah, it was quite close. We were very confident that we were going to get something done, but it didn't happen. And I said it yesterday in the media as well, that for me it was a win-win. I got to take that next step in progression if something happened. If not, I got to come back and join the boys and play under Uffy and play for this club again, and set out to achieve something again and build on what we have the last few years. So there was no hard feelings, and there was no real disappointment for me. Obviously, having a taste of something and seeing that it was quite close, that was something that I was really excited for. But like I said, there was no disappointment about it.
That was in France.
It was in Europe.
Smile kind of gives it away. But is that sort of also, like, is that the point where you start thinking that this is the kind of move you might want to make when you get back here? That you've been here for 9 years, and is there anything in what you've agreed with Perth that perhaps helps you to explore those European options?
The discussions that I've had with Perth, they're well aware of what I want to achieve and my ambition. But ultimately, there was opportunities in front of me that I had to take, and I've chosen to take those. Whether something happens in the future, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, look, I'm not going to stand here and discuss the ins and outs of the contract and what it allows me to do. But yeah, certainly I still have the same ambitions. But after speaking to Andy Keogh and Ruben Zadkovic, I felt like that was the place where I could progress and develop best as a player, and then hopefully continue to achieve what I want to achieve.
Just lastly from me, Alex Paulson's obviously been your number 2 for a couple of seasons now. Do you think he's ready to step up and be an A-League starter? I
mean, I think we all saw it when he took his opportunities last year. He's a kid with fantastic potential. He's got a work ethic that I admire. He's fantastic. He's eager to learn. The part of me that was in his position those years ago wants the Phoenix to give him a chance, because I've been in that position. I know what it's like, and I was desperate for that for so many years. So yeah, look, I'd love to see Alex get a chance and do really well. I think he will. He's still young and he still needs some game time, and it's been really hard for him the last 2 years because of the relocation and things like that. Game time's been so limited. I mean, at the time, when I was in his position, I felt the game time was limited, but I was still playing 20 games a year in the National League. So it's been really hard for him, but he's a fantastic kid and he's going to do really well when he gets the chance.
And how has this process been for you the last 2 or 3 months, weighing up multiple options on the table?
To be honest, I'm lucky to be surrounded by really good people. My agent Greg does a fantastic job. The people here at the Phoenix do a fantastic job, and I just kind of let it take care of itself in the background. Obviously comes a point where you have to sit down and front everything and take the discussions head on, but it's been going on for a long time, and I don't think my performance is altered. I made a mistake a few weeks ago against MacArthur, which was quite costly, but that just happens in football, and I don't think that was a reflection of what was going on behind the scenes, because these discussions have been going on since the end of last year, so it's been there for a while.
And you mentioned the Europe opportunities. You were very close, and you've probably been modest before about how close you were, but how did you rebound mentally from that when it didn't come through?
Yeah, like I said, I felt like it was a win-win, but I mean, when you spent your whole life trying to achieve something and you're very close to achieving it, not quite getting there, it does hurt, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't. And I was really fortunate to have people like Uffy and Goldie in particular for that pre-season spell that he was here in that period for me, because coming off the back of the Costa Rica loss and then things not quite going my way in that transfer window, I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. But we got off to a really good start in the FFA Cup and got to play some really good opposition, and I felt like I played really well. So I feel like that was a really good distraction for me, particularly that Melbourne City game where we knew our backs were going to be up against the wall. They're a high quality team, and we put a really good performance out there, and I got to contribute. So that was a real eye-opener for me, and that allowed me just to clear my mind and get on with my job.
just finally, how does this? You've been in a lot of Phoenix teams. How does this one compare to the other ones you've been in?
I think it's a really eclectic bunch in terms of the characters, but I think it just fits really well. We, off the back of last season, I think we continued to apply Uffy's system really well, but I think just the inexperience and some of the younger personnel made some of those heavier defeats stand out and hurt a little bit more. And they weren't easy to take at times, but I think when you add the experience and the foreigners that we have this year to that bunch that we had last year, it's really starting to show. We haven't been perfect this year. It's funny, I think we've played better football and not won games than we have recently, where we've picked up points and not really played our best, but that for me is a good sign. The best teams pick up points and win games when they're not playing their best stuff. So I'm really impressed by the way the teams bounce back from a few losses where we were in winning positions, and that can often derail things. But we've put ourselves in a fantastic position, and when you got foreigners banging in heaps of goals and Kiwi boys playing in the fullback roles and stuff like that that are just tearing it up, it's really pleasing to see.